In mere Christianity, we've learned to emulate sincerity. I myself am very capable of emulating sincerity. But as a Christian, if what I emulate does not reflect the very person of Christ, in fact, it begins to eclipse his very person, or it begins to infringe against his very character, my sincerity counts for nothing. You see, us as Christians, we love emulating sincerity because we know that's how we win folks. But are we trying to win folks to ourselves, or are we trying to win folks to the very person of Christ? A true disciple is one who is connected to Christ and reproduces the very person of Christ. To allow other people to decide if they actually want Christ in you or not. That's how Christ makes himself available, through those who truly walk according to his will. But how does one walk as a disciple? This is how Christ put it. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him bears much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. If anyone does not abide in me, he is cast out as a branch and is withered. And they gather them and they throw them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire, and it shall be done for you. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, so you will be my disciples. So this is my author, okay? Jesus is the author of my faith. If he tells me this is how we will be his disciples, I'll take his word. It's about abiding in him. It's about remaining in him, abiding in him, and being fruitful of his character. This is how he gets glorified. This is how the Father gets glorified. So what does it mean for me to abide in Christ? See, there's a difference between having his word abide in me and I in him. He made that distinctive. When we read this verse, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, you will ask what you desire. He made that distinctive. There's a difference between having his word abide in us and us abide in him. What does it mean to abide in him, therefore? We read this in 1 John chapter 2, verses 6. This is John saying these words. He said, he who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. I'll read that again. He who says he abides in him ought himself also to walk just as he walked. You see, to abide in Christ is to walk just as he walked. To do just as he did. To do what? Well, he gave us his commandments. But he demonstrated how to go about fulfilling his own commandments. That is what it means to do just as he did, to walk just as he walked. You see, for instance, if he told us to love one another, and I go about loving with my own understanding, and you go about loving with your own understanding, and somebody else goes loving with their own understanding, that's not what he intended, that's not what he meant. He went ahead and demonstrated how to actually love others. He never ever left it to our own conclusion how we are going to go about fulfilling his commandments. That's the beauty of it. So to abide in him is to do it just as he did it. You see, what I find interesting is this very exact same model that we're discussing right now. He lived it out in his own life. This very same model of not doing the commandments of his Father with his own understanding, but watching the Father, how he went about fulfilling these commandments that he gave him, is what I'm talking about. Well, where's that written? We find that in the book of John as well. It's in chapter 5, verses 19 and 20. This is what Jesus said. Most assuredly I say to you, the Son can do nothing of himself. He's referring to himself here. The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he sees the Father do. For whatever he does, the Son also does in like manner. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all things that he himself does. And he will show him greater works than these, that you may marvel. You got that? So Jesus didn't go about fulfilling the commandments of his Father his own way, with his own understanding. He too looked to his own Father to see how he went about doing the things he had been told by him to do. I like that because I see the Father taking the initiative to demonstrate to his own Son how to fulfill the commandments he gave him. This in turn made Jesus Christ a perfect disciple of his own Father. And guess what? That will make us a perfect disciple of Christ when we look to Christ to see how we are to go about fulfilling the commandments he gave us. That is what makes a true disciple.